So for today's video, I want to do something different. Instead of talking about anime or manga similar to a hentai, well, honestly, I want to be working on that right now, but instead I'm going to start with something else. Now, do you guys remember Hardcore Henry? Some of you guys might remember because, you know, this movie came out a few years back. It was a first-person action movie where it was kind of like an homage to those first-person games. Now, in case if some of you guys don't know, this movie was kind of developed by a Russian, band group known as Biting Elbow. And man, if you haven't seen Motherfucker or Badass Motherfucker, I think that's what it's called, just, ooh, it's magnific. But why am I talking about Hardcore Henry? Well, here's where the story kicks in for today's video. Being that we haven't seen a lot of good movies that are in first person or taken into the genre of being filmed in first person perspective. Like, you can't really say Paranormal Activity or, a Haunted House or any of these other found footage movies are really that good, because some of them use stationary cameras or other film techniques that kind of, fill in the gaps for how the movie is being filmed. What I mean by first person perspective, I mean that a good majority of the film is either the camera's being held by the character in the film, or really, we're looking through the eyes of what that person sees. Where in a way, we're that person, instead of the audience being excluded to where we are just sitting in a bubble watching the story goes by. We're actually in the movie as that said character. Which is why I like movies like that. To kind of, make it great, to make it amazing, something different. So, these are movies that are first person like Hardcore Henry. So let's just do this. Now, I don't have a lot of memories of the movie The Blair Witch Project, but I have at least seen its sequel or its spiritual successor, kind of, whichever you want to look at it like. The Blair Witch 2016, it's a good movie. I like it. Instead of being like Paranormal Activity where the entity is in the house haunting you and scaring you by constantly moving a shelf just to get you scared, or possessing somebody to snap your neck. For the most part of this film, it's the forest that is after you. Imagine an entire forest. Man, that's worse than zombies. Where when it comes to the Blair Witch, what makes it good is that it's not only a first person perspective movie, which I consider, but it's from different perspectives of different characters. Where initially it's basically returning to form for this movie, since the main character is looking for his sister. The sister from the first movie, which I haven't seen. I heard a lot of good things. At the end of the day, I say this movie is good. It inspires a bit of fear. That type of thing where you don't know what to believe or what to trust anymore in the state of reality. Now this next film I haven't really seen, but I've seen clips of this movie, however. Villainous. Now this movie is pretty damn good looking. The whole plot of it is that it's a female hitman or assassin who is sent to do some dirty bidding. Things don't go right, and now she's on a track for vengeance. And man, there's a lot of kills in this movie. I don't know what to say about some parts of the CGI. You can tell there's CGI being used in the film to do transitions between one room to the next room, which I don't hate. I don't hate that at all. Some clips of it remind me of the movie Old Boy, which I haven't seen a whole bunch of. But anyways, this film, I will say, is worth your time and, your patronage. It looks good. I'm going to watch it at some point. Definitely. Man, I do love me some Cloverfield. Not Cleavage Field, because that god-awful movie, whose idea was that movie? Man, you need your ass whooped. But no. So, Cloverfield movies by J.J. Abrams, there's 3 movies? And Two of them are not really the first-person perspective movies, but they're good in their own right. However, we're talking about the first movie, the first Cloverfield, where it's a found footage type deal, being that we should have had a sequel to it, but we didn't, but that's cool. Because at the end of the day, this movie was enough. It has a lot of story and nuggets and detail, lore, a lot of things into this film as you watch it. And being that some of the stuff you're gonna miss because you're not paying attention to it, which happens, you're gonna wanna rewatch it again just to see what the hell you just missed. Now, honestly, to some people, if this was Godzilla slapped on it, yeah, this movie would have been bad. Because people want to see Godzilla kick ass. In this movie, if you want to see characters with depth and, understanding, where the movie's not spoon feeding you information, where you have to pay attention and kind of understand what's going on, this is your movie. Rex 1 and 2. Now, I'm putting the first two movies on the list only because the first two movies are literally found footage from first person perspective. Now, in some ways, I have seen Quarantine 1, but Quarantine 1 is not really worth mentioning, being that it's mutated rabies, where Rex' actual, cause for the so-called infection, it's a demonic spirit, basically, where for some reason a priest had some problems that went wrong, and the child, basically got sick, and then someone took the child and basically infected everyone in the building and creates a multitude of flesh-hungry denizens. Where in the second movie, it takes place right what happens after the first movie ends. And it has a lot of blood, gore, and a lot of shit that goes on. In all honesty, these films are good. Despite the fact, yeah, it's in Spanish, so what? It's like watching anime and when you just hear nothing but Japanese words coming at you. It's good either way it go, because at least then they give you subtitles to read to understand what is going on. Now, have you ever had a movie that made you laugh, horrified, hyped, and sad at the same time? Well, that movie to me, and it goes to Afflicted 2013. Now, Afflicted, for a lot of people who watch the movie, you're not going to understand what the fuck's going on in like 1 second, because there's a lot of stuff that happens. But basically, it's about two guys who go on a trip. Things don't go right, and initially, the main character develops some abilities. But basically, it's vampires. They're vampires. It's not a spoiler, but it's just gonna tell you, like, right at the end of the movie, you won't know until, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But they're vampires, just crazy, badass, awesome vampires. Let me give you a moment of silence. Fucking kick ass. If you watch this video and it made you feel a type of way where you want to watch it, or feel like, yeah, that's good, then I'm glad I did you a service. If you made it to the end of the video, I'd like to thank you for watching or just listening to me talk on and on about first person movies. Show your support down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.